This time, we're going to ask the really serious question that people are anxious about, that people are nervous about, which is AI going to come from my job as an architect? And I think it's an important question that we really need to talk about. So let's go talk to the people that know this stuff. Let's go talk to the architects. Hello, architects. It's great to see you again. I'm hoping we can get real for just 1 second, because I know that there are people that are watching this. There are architects that are watching this who are observing the agentic world. They're observing how AI is moving in our spaces. And they are, to be honest, just perfectly concerned that their job is at stake. And that AI is going to replace them, and really what your company is really looking forward to is to buy architect in a box, and I'm going to be able to do that. I'm going to be able to replace you. So my question for both of you is, what do you tell people who are concerned as architects about their job in this brave new world?
Yeah, my thoughts on this are that architecture, to me, and the way that I've experienced it in my career, is always about clarity in the face of uncertainty. And we're constantly refining clarity when things are uncertain. It's more about fundamentally judgment when things are murky. And it's about making irreversible or hard reverse decision or irreversible decisions when information is incomplete, when you don't know what the future is going to look like, when incentives conflict, when directives conflict, when multiple choices of different protocols and interaction capabilities and standards start to emerge. It's all about, figuring out what to do when the future is unclear to meet business and organizational goals. And to me, an architecture decision, when it goes wrong, it's not the model that's going to answer to your board of directors or regulators or customers. It's going to be you as an architect, or you're going to be stuck trying to explain what happened. So AI also doesn't really understand, and maybe one day it will, but today it doesn't, organizational realities. It doesn't understand feelings or politics. It doesn't understand budget pressure yet, political constraints, regulatory nuance. So it understands the hard rules associated with these things and can correlate them. But in many instances, this is a right-brained and left-brained activity that's unique to people, in my estimations for architects. Also what I think is that architects, the job is changing. So architects are becoming designers of boundaries rather than deterministic flows going from point A to point B to point C. We're arbiters of autonomy rather than authors of logic, because logic now has become the domain of reasoning cores for agents, potentially. We're translators between executive risk tolerance and the technical realities of what's possible. So there is an uncomfortable truth to face, I think, that architects need to engage with AI and work with AI and treat it like a force multiplier. But it can, at its current state, it can't replace all of those considerations that I mentioned.
Uli, what do you think about this?
Well, first of all, if an architect is really worried about AI taking their job, they really don't understand what an architect is. And I've worked a lot with the International Association of Software Architects, IASA, and they have awesome material of what an architect is, to just complement what Erica is already saying, which for me is the foundation of what architecture is all about. A lot of times it's about effectively constraint management and making decisions between what the investment is you have, what the outcome is you need to achieve, and time frame. So you effectively have to think through resources, timing, the iron triangle that we all know about. And therefore, it's good architecture, better architecture, best architecture. But AI can't make the differentiation because they don't necessarily understand all of the dimensions. Then you have to deal with a lot of people. It's stakeholder management, making sure that the business side, the technology side, everybody is felt included in the decision making. Your architect job is to ultimately make sure that the system that you are building can be built with the money and time that you have and the resources you have. And again, AI will get there eventually to help you with some of these decisions, but it's still decision time. And AI generally doesn't make decisions, and they don't understand risk management, your risk perception and stuff like that. And so if you're unsure of your architect skills, maybe working with the IASA folks would be a great step to help you really refine your skills and then embrace AI as a tool to help you get better at it, because AI does do an amazing job. In the last episode, we talked a lot about where Anthropic and other tool vendors are. These things are amazing. So as an architect, you can now do in hours what used to take you days or weeks. And you do it better because you know how to direct the AI to create the artifacts that actually help. And if you take that approach, I think you're going to be a much, much better architect than before, without having to worry that the AI will take your job away. For me, this is just a way to really refine how you get the artifacts done that need to be done in order to really have great architecture, documentation, strategies, and so forth.
Now, David, if you, so I agree with all of that, but if I take an adversarial point of view, if you listen closely, there are people out there like, oh, that's garbage, Eric and Uli. If I take all of those dimensions and I put it in the ChatGPT, you can't tell me that it's not going to give me the right advice and the right guidance. And that may be true, right? However, what's key here is that it's an opinion, and it ultimately has to become your opinion. It's the same reason why we typically just, an AI can write a script, a Hollywood script, a movie, but you just can't cut and paste that, or you shouldn't, right? Like, you should inject your own viewpoints, your own capabilities, your own sensibilities to hone it and refine it so that you can become accountable for it. So that's the key differentiator, is accountability. Architecture to me is evolving into accountability. It was always there and it became a gimme. Now that we have these agents and these capabilities that can actually do some of the thinking for us while researching, we just can't accept what they are going to propose wholesale. We have to think about the murkiness, also the false signals of confidence that come from these engines, and then weigh them with your own understanding and perception of reality.
Okay, so I have a question for you that's similar to what we just talked about, but I need to go a different route. Let's assume that now, congratulations, you personally feel better about the likelihood of your job going away because you understand architecture better, and we've talked about this. How do you think it's most effective for you to communicate with others this information? Presumably, it's not effective to just sort of trash AI and everything you say, right? That says it can't do this, it can't do this, they can't do this. That seems like that's only going to get you the Luddite, stamp on you, right? So, how do you think architects should be communicating with the rest of their world, with their other people, with the stakeholders in such a way, such that this comes through in a way that you think will be effective, so others understand the same thing you do? How do we then articulate this to other people, not just make ourselves feel better? And I know it's a hard question.
Yeah, but it's not really, because at the end of the day, what AI allows an architect to do, because the architects generally are not the software developers. Again, they can be, but often they are not. But so that means they write up specifications, they write up guidance, they do all sorts of guardrails in terms of what the technology strategy is and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, somebody has to translate the business requirements into code. Mm-hmm. Today, when I do as an architect, I also own the estimate, the plan, in terms of, okay, how much is going to cost to build me, how time does it, how long it will take. With AI, I can fairly quickly write a prototype of what we need to do and get a much better feeling of what this could look like. It's not production quality. It will cut a bunch of corners, and it should, because it's not about writing production grade code, but it's getting a feeling of how the system should look like, what are the aspects we need to think about, and how long will it take. So you can convey a much broader and better estimate in terms of how can we achieve this, what will it take, how long, how many people, how much money, than you were before. So for me, what you're getting is a broader tool set with similar artifacts, because those things don't go away, because you still have to document everything and so forth. But you now get a much more detailed perspective, because you can quickly prototype it and say, yep, wow, this idea can work. Because today we do the fail fast, which is great, right? But it still takes a couple of weeks, and that potentially costs a lot of money. If you can do it in a day, much easier to get a feeling, yes, this idea will work, and now let's go bring it into proper project structures, bring the right people in to make sure it's production grade growth, it doesn't hallucinate, all of these things we talked about before.
Can I insert something, Eric, before you speak? Because I think an important point that isn't going to be lost, but is used to say. So in many ways, it probably is really useful for you as an architect to tell other people that you use this tool and how it helped you, and then by association, how you're then making it better as the architect doing it, rather than hiding the fact that you actually went to ChatGPT to ask it something. Make it very clear what you used it for, what you didn't use it for, and how you're using the tools that we have wisely. Eric, I hope that wasn't jumping on top of you, but I didn't want to leave that alone before we went forward.
No, it's actually an interesting behavioral phenomenon. I probably can't be the only one going through this, but whenever I see an architectural assessment or a product requirements document, I see the hyphens, I see the bolding, I see the emojis, and then I'm like, this person cut and paste this from ChatGPT, but then I'm like, why is that bad? Let me just evaluate this on the surface. Did they just do a cut and paste? Or did they actually look at it and said, okay, no, this has my stamp on it. This has my stamp of approval, which when I was looking after teams in the past, I said that, hey, let's not feel guilty that we're utilizing AI. Let's actually treat it like our team. Like everybody now has a team of independent domain-specific consultants across multiple disciplines that you can use to do work. If these were actually human beings, you wouldn't actually just take something from McKinsey and be like, okay, here you go. It's a recommendation. You would actually read it and be like, no, here's how you have to refactor this, or here's some considerations to consider. You would refine it with that team. Same thing goes for AI. And I think that architects and everybody needs to look at AI as like not one singular tool, not one brand, not ChatGPT, not Anthropic, because with each one of these umbrellas, you can create multiple agents, multiple projects, multiple skills that are experts in specific domains. They can go deep so that you don't necessarily have to go deep. So for me, it's all about force multiplication in a way in which you now have a team of people that report to you that can do all the research, all of the validation, cross-validate each other if you're orchestrating it correctly, but ultimately you're accountable for it. Cutting and pasting things is not the way to move forward.
Well, I think it's always been the case that you never wanted to be the cut and paste architect. And this is just like that times whatever, right? Like then you're not really an architect if you're a cut and paste architect. Uli, it looks like you have one last thing. Maybe you could take
I was just saying that can get you into jail really fast, as some people have found out with a legal system where they cut stuff. And whatever AI made up some legal references that didn't exist. So not a good thing to do. Okay.
So I think it's safe to say your job is safe, especially if you're doing your job. People should feel okay. I think is what I want to say about this.
One last thing, David, that I tell all my teams, that it's not just about AI. Great. Change is one of the only constants of the universe that you can routinely count on. And you can either be subject to the change and have it happen to you, or you can lean into the change and become part of it and even help shape it. This is one of those instances.
Yeah, well, there's that Dao Ching, be like water, sort of thing. Anyway, I just want to thank both of you for being willing to take on this topic, because I know it's super important to people. I want to thank everybody for watching this, and I hope that you'll join us sometime again here on the Armchair Architects. So catch you later.